don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So give me all the scars, I'm a human being. Cover them with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me and the things I could be, I just wish I had seen. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go! To last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it. Go on and take your aim. Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing.
and it's going to go to the intro, then it's just going to be you and me for a sec, Tyler. All right, here we go. Get ready. What is going on, part-time family and Hendrix family? Welcome back to another
been
great
working
Tuesday
in the
night
shop, clearing some
with Hendrix
overstock.
himself,
Sold a bunch of
and
mystery
yourself,
boxes
part-time fisher.
recently. And getting
Man,
orders
it's
out.
exciting
We're
to be
actually
back on
fully
live.
caught up.
What
So now our
another
lead
fun
time was
week.
cut down to 2 to 5
Man,
days.
what you been up to, Tyler? I know I heard in the background.
But
you
other
had
than that, today it's been
thunderstorms
thunderstorming,
going.
raining,
You had a
windy.
bunch of other
We
crazy
lost
stuff.
power a couple times within the last few hours, so I didn't think I was going to make it. But we're here. Yes. We have 3 left. You lost me?
Now you say mystery boxes. I've been seeing some posts. I'm not sure if you have any left. If you do,
Why is John scratching?
let me know here. I'm curious.
Audio.
But 3 left.
John, you got the fancy mic and the kickstand mic stand, and you can't get it together?
Nope, I still got you. Everybody says I'm scratching.
Come on, Johnny boy.
Why am I scratching?
Guys, pick on John for me. I want to see some pick on John comments.
And see if I'm not scratchy. There we go. This should probably fix it.
Is the audio bueno now, Dylan?
This,
bueno or no bueno?
now it should probably be better. So, sorry about that, guys. I'm realizing, and I keep forgetting, I got to mark these or label them sometimes better. Apparently, if I select the wrong audio source, you guys get the audio that's coming out of the GoPro camera, which is clicky and horrible. And then I always forget to turn on the mic, the actual microphone itself. I need to turn that on every time. I keep forgetting, guys. I'm so sorry.
He says, muy bueno,
Yep.
mis amigos.
So,
Mi amigos? He meant me.
oh, man. Sorry about that, guys. Well, like I was saying, welcome back to another great week. Now I got the audio fixed. But, man, we had the last Tourney Wednesday of the season on Wednesday. And I'm happy and sad that it's done for the season, if that makes sense.
Makes total.
Jeremy and I feel like we didn't do horrible. Our goal was to come out, get in the top 10. We did. We finished 8th overall for the season. We actually got a payday, which I've never had a payday in these tournaments, so that was cool. We were the number 1 team that wasn't a divisional team, so like part of the National Bass Angler Association. So we were the only we were the number 1 non-NBAA team. So I think solid season. I'm excited for next year. I think we learned a lot. We got to get better at offshore fishing, but I think we're going to kick some butt and get after it.
Yeah, and now you're going to have more of an arsenal as time goes on from Hendrix Fishing, so you'll be set up for success, right?
And speaking of arsenal from Hendrix Fishing, I think we should probably tell everybody, unless they're seeing what's in the box already, we might just need to bring in our guest for this week, because if you guys weren't paying attention to the title, man, I'm excited.
Bring them out.
Let me bring out. We've got the man, the myth, the legend himself over at Jawtec Bait Company. What is going on, Colt?
What's up, guys? Man, I saw a box of stuff right there you got.
Man, I had to load up, It was one of those, go big or go home moments. Plus, I had one of those Z brothers over there, and they were buying stuff, and I was like, well, I got to compete.
Right.
I can't let him get all the big fish. He's been killing it in Texas.
You should see the text message chains I have between the Zamalek boys. Like, we had some really cool stuff that they did the other day. They were crushing it on some of our baits. We've had these text messages back and forth. I remember back this past spring, I was sight fishing at some ponds not far from the shop, and I texted them. I said, "Hey, I'm about to catch an 8-pounder off a bed," and they're like, "No, you're not." And then 2 minutes later, boom, 8-pounder. And then about 30 minutes later, I text, would it be even more sick if I caught a 10 right now? And I didn't catch that one, but I did see a 10-pounder on a bed. Not 30 minutes after that text message. And they're like, are you really? And this is the most live action fishing conversation we've ever had through a phone call or a text message. So that was fun. And I've enjoyed working with them, and they've been great support since the beginning.
Oh man, I'll be honest, I am excited. I'll be the first to admit I've never heard of you. If it wasn't for Hendrix, I don't know if I would have heard of you. Maybe I would have. I follow a bunch of other fishing guys, so maybe I would have seen you somewhere. But I didn't realize all the other stuff you carried, because the first thing I ever saw was the Sultan, which I'm going to throw. I'm not a big worm guy.
Yeah.
I got to learn to throw the big worms, but they're scary.
Yeah, John likes.
But then I saw like the little shad.
Yeah, I mean we have the stuff that covers a lot of bases for anglers. We have baits that, yes, they're very technique specific, but there's also some techniques that are super simple that people of all ages, from kiddos to old people, can catch fish going. Like the French fry, that's a super, very easy bait for people to throw and just get bites on and have that confidence that they're going to go out there and catch something. It might not even be a bass. I've had people catch crappie on a French fry before. So I enjoy making a product that, one, people have confidence in, and two, they do catch fish. I mean, they are very unique and it's something the fish haven't seen.
Well, I was going to say, like, I'm not a huge worm guy, but you do have a smaller worm, the bogus wiggler, which is that beautiful curly tail at the end. Loving that.
Yeah. The sickle tail. There's a curl. We got to get our terminology.
Sorry.
There's a curl tail and a sickle tail. The sickle tails, that was a very popular style of bait back in the late 80s going into the 90s. And it's got more of a thud is how I describe the tail action. It's
Gotcha.
going left and right like this, opposed to a ribbon tail, which is, it kind of has a swimming action. So completely different actions, but both have their application. And that you think, oh, I might go swim that offshore or go throw it off Carolina Reed or something. But what it was designed for back in the day was to go flip into hydrilla and flip into bushes, because it's a tighter wiggle, and it just real simple comes down, just makes its way down to the bottom.
Now, I was gonna say, so even though I hadn't heard it yet, now I was kind of talking to some of the guys here in town, and even my old man and stuff. Jawtec's been around for a while.
Jawtec has a long history. It precedes me by many, many years. It was my father's company back in the day. My mom and dad, they built it from the ground up. My mom came up with the name. My dad came up with the idea, and they were buying from other manufacturers, packaging it, sending it out, and then they got into creating their own baits, and they had 4 baits that really took off really big back in the 80s. They kind of the claim to fame to Jawtec is they originated the term wacky worm, not the rigged wacky worm, but the term. So the original wacky worm was a split tail trailer. It kind of had 2 little tails that did this on the back of a spinnerbait, and that was Dad's original claim to fame, was the wacky worm. And then he released a bait called the chatterbox, which is kind of like a sluggo, but it had rattles built into it, and it was super innovative for the time. And then the wacky crawl, which is a crawl worm style of bait. It was a crawfish bait mixed with the wacky worm, so it was just like some stuff nobody's ever saw. And the innovativeness my father had back in the day, and my mom, is what drove them. They were not just the cut and dry company. They were always trying to make something that was different. Now they made a lizard, they made a fluke mold, but they did have their stuff. You've seen some of the other baits, the bogus wiggler, the baby bowfin, the stud bug, those kind of things. They're like nothing else on the market. And that's where I want to be in the future. Is I want to make sure we're always being creative and not just being the same thing again.
Gotcha. Now, you were mentioning, like you said, so it started out with 4 baits. Now, are any of the 4 baits that it started with, have you carried into these? Like, are they still around today, or?
The 4 baits that started it off, no. They're the molds are sitting in my shop. They might be re-released one day, but that they're fishing techniques of the past, and they might not necessarily sell the best. There's one of the baits that I was talking about, the chatterbox. That mold was actually never in my father's possessions. The company that was shooting his worms back in the day, they cut the mold for him. It had the Jawtec name on it. They had 4 molds in production. They sold thousands of them across the United States every day, and it turned off like a light switch. That bait quit selling, and he carried inventory for 20 years of those baits. They sat perfectly packaged and never moved after that. So that's kind of the scary part about the industry. It can go really quick, but it can turn off on a bait overnight. The only bait we've seen stand the test of time is the Senko. I mean, that bait has sold from the time it was released to today on an upward trend, in my opinion. It's the only bait to do it ever. And maybe the fluke was the same thing, but the industry can hit you hard real quick. So there's things that I learned from my parents' mistakes and what they, not mistakes, but their experiences, and I've applied them to today. And those original baits don't necessarily fit the model for right now.
Gotcha. Now, was there a time like where Jawtec was not going before you took over? I guess when did you decide, you know what, I'm going to fill in the shoes?
Right. So there was a 20-year gap, and it was not a gap because of lack of business or lack of demand for the product. It was a 20-year gap because my father was sitting there. He lost a Walmart contract, which was pretty negative, but he could have rebuilt it up, but he knew the work it was going to take, and he was missing that time from his kids. And me and my 3 sisters, we would not have had the awesome relationship with my dad that we had for all of these years if he was continuing this on. So he did it for his family. My mom had some health issues, and they've got most of that stuff figured out. But it shut down with the complete intention to bring the company back. It was never up for sale. It was not publicly. People offered my dad many times to buy the company name and all that, but never was sold. And he was in the process of starting it back up in 2019. He had the idea was to make the punch shad, the punch shad you have in your box right there. That was his bait that kept him up tonight. He said, I'm going to make this. I'm going to figure out how to make it do. So he started working with me just a little bit. I wasn't going to be in this full time, but he said, fishing, you've been through this, what problems with different styles of baits, how can we make them better? So we worked together. We had 10 different models of the punch shad, and then he cut a production mold, and we didn't have a machinery one that worked. And I said, Dad, what are you going to do? I live an hour and a half from you. Your machines don't work, and you've got all your money tied up in a mold right now. So that was kind of where we left it off. And then not within a week after he got that mold, he sadly suffered a stroke, and it left him in a wheelchair. And he called me. He said, "You think you can do this?" And I said, I'm fairly confident I can apply my knowledge of construction and electrical world and apply that to my knowledge of fishing to build the machinery to shoot these molds, because it's injection molding. It's a very highly mechanical process, and it's very tedious, but it's very simple to me because I knew the electrical world, I knew the hydraulics, and I knew plumbing. It's just applying it to mass scales and then the ability to run. So I took all that. It took me about 9 months to get the machines operational. And then 6 months into that 9-month stretch, I was like, we're not going to be big enough if I don't do this full time. So I quit my job. We ended up selling our house. We moved to the facility because we were, like I said, we were an hour and a half from the facility, and it was just not going to work. I saw all these things. Even if I got the machines running, this business would not work. So I had to commit the full time to this thing. And we sold our house. We put enough money in our pocket from that to survive for 2 years without making a dollar. That was kind of what my wife and I would put together. We got enough money stacked up from jobs and the sale of the house, plus some other investments that worked good for us. And I said, let's do this. Let's go be big. And now we've ran into a recession, but we're surviving. We're in a good spot financially. We are debt free. We don't have a lot of giant orders that could put us behind. So like if we got hit with a big giant order from a big box store, it wouldn't necessarily hurt us right now. So we're in a good spot to survive through this recession and then come out ahead of a lot of other people in the future. So.
No, I'm going to bring Tyler in on this. I kind of like how you brought up the fact, the recession. A lot of people don't realize, or maybe they do, especially some of our listeners. Some of you guys in the chat might know, the fishing industry went through a huge boom during COVID. I think COVID was probably the best and the worst thing. I'll explain it this way. I feel like it was the best thing ever for the fishing industry because everybody was getting out fishing. They were buying stuff. I mean, if you had something in stock, boom, it was gone. Because, not everybody could get stuff in stock. But then now that we're on the tail end of COVID, it feels like not as many people are getting out anymore. No one's spending as much money. Prices for gas, everything else has gone up. Tyler, I guess I'll start with you. How's it from your side of it being the Hendrix, business, the front side, helping these small businesses? What have you noticed on your side? And then I guess Colt, on your side of it, being the bait maker yourself, production wise, what are you noticing?
Tyler, you want to go first?
John, I'm losing connection a little bit, but Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes.
Hear you and see you.
All right. My screen's bugging out a little bit, but from my side of it, I will say the same thing. During the beginning of COVID, we were thriving. Back then, I was fully handmade custom baits. I was selling the frogs, and I was just injecting. Kaylee could speak on this. I would be in the shop because I work a full day job. I would get home. I'd be in the shop until midnight some days, just getting baits out constantly. We were doing great. And then I want to say about a year ago, I started to see like it decline. Like it started to slowly decline. And I remember last November, we were selling 100 to 120 Hendrix OG boxes a month. And sadly, I mean, I have no problem giving this information out that we're only selling, if we're lucky, 40 a month now. So basically our sales have cut in half, if not more, because of the recession. So then we started to offer other bundles and deals and try to find ways to cater to people and, people without jobs and people that are struggling right now to pay for gas to even go fishing, Because you think about it, if you have a boat, you got to pay for the gas in your truck. You got to pay for the gas for the boat. And by the time you get done fishing and you lost all those baits that you were throwing on the water, you're sitting on, what, $200-$300?
Man, and
sometimes
gas for boats ridiculous.
Rods break,
Let's not
things
be.
break.
Let's gas for boats crazy right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's cost you $300 to go fishing essentially.
What I've noticed over the past, I would say it was about 9 months ago is what I noticed when the tide turned. We had gas basically double in price, if not almost triple. And then we've had our grocery bills go up about 40%. So if you look at that, that's somebody's dollar amount shrinking by $200 a month.
Grocery bills, yeah. Nobody points that out. My wife and I were talking about that too. The news is always talking about gas this, gas that. I'm like, who's bringing up the fact that groceries cost more?
Yeah. The simple products, paper goods, toilet paper, paper towels.
I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, I mean, dude, you brought up a good point. Groceries.
Yeah. So you got all these added expenses to a person's life, and it's hard, and we've got to make the decisions. And fishing industry is a hobby. It's one of those things. People are going to fish, but the quantity of fishing is going to go down. So when we got into this, we missed it by about a year. If we would have been in a year ahead, we would be a much bigger company than we are now because of the COVID boom. But as a manufacturer standpoint, those numbers that manufacturers are basing their future projections off of COVID are awful numbers to work with because they were super inflated. I went to ICAST this year, and one of the things we met in the meeting about with ASA was there was a 30% increase in fishermen from 2020 or 2019 to 2021. Now, that was people that didn't fish for the year before. That means they looked at how many fishing licenses were sold, then the people didn't have a fishing license last year. That's kind of how they get that number. But then 2021 hit, that number was kind of sustained, but then when the numbers come out this year, I bet you new fishing license sales are going to be down 30 to 35%. Right. So we've had people that it's not because they didn't have a good experience fishing, it's just because it's, hey, I can't afford to do it, or hey, I've got to prioritize maybe working some more overtime or something like that. So on our end, the manufacturers, we see that our costs have pretty much doubled to make a bag of fishing lures.
Okay.
The labor cost is there, but our raw material cost is pretty much doubled. I know that the components in my bag, the outside, the baits themselves are double the cost that it was when I first started. And I bought the first set of packaging and the first set of inserts for the bags in March of 21. And like the last order I made, it's twice the price that it used to be. So we've had to
your bags are amazing. I know you said earlier your dad had like a contract coming with Walmart that he turned down, but I mean, I could literally see this thing hanging at a Walmart, a Cabela's, you name the store, and it looks professional.
We had to match the face of the kind of the model of the company to match the manufacturing capabilities. I don't like to toot my own horn, but we build machines that can mass produce at a very we have a lot of control of it because we do it ourselves. So people think, oh, he can make 1,000 baits an hour, but I'm out there I have to pull them out of the machine still. So I've got my eyes on it the entire time. And it's a lot of moving pieces. I call it the dance. And my wife's like, what are you doing out there? I'm dancing. I'm getting these machines running. And it's part of it. So I love it, but we definitely have had to match the packaging to the capability so we can take this to a broader deal. Something we were blessed with, but we've had to upkeep is the UPC code system. So we have the barcodes on there that we own, all the changes of those things. So we wanted to make sure it was a premium product as well, and the packaging had to match it. So we invested the money in the good part. You can buy it, a lot of it up front, and it doesn't really have an expiration date until you put a bait in there, and then you got to make sure that's what that sheet does inside those bags. That hard plastic sheet makes the baits last for a lot longer in a box or just hanging on a shelf or in your boat. We've been very meticulous with how we've designed this thing for it to grow the way we need it to keep up with, to justify the machines. Because otherwise I can go spend the money and go get hand injecting molds and do it that way and make money that way. I mean, it's just, I would have to recreate my molds and a hand injecting mold to keep the same baits going. But right now we're trying to shove towards keeping these machines operational and justify using them every day.
Yeah, as I see Tyler holding a package to one of the voodoo frogs, actually. And that's something him and I were talking about the other day, because you were talking about the price of just getting your simple, I say simple, but they're very well, I mean, it's just a bag, let's be honest. It's a printed bag. You know, nothing too crazy how that's gone up. We were joking about the other day, it's like, man, we're glad we got these frogs ordered in when we did, because if we had to get that same packaging today, I mean, you got the plastic clamshell that goes around the frog. You got that beautiful print. I mean, I bet that's probably double the cost of what it was when we ordered those frogs originally.
Yeah, and it's not even. I mean, I made some changes to the frog because originally they did not have mustad hooks and they had glued-on eyes, and the tails were not tied in the rear end. Now they're tied, so the tails are not leaving the body. We have the mustad hooks. We had wax applied to the bellies so it stops from too much water being taken on, and we added a drain hole in the rear end to drain the water. So we made a lot of changes to the frog, but even with those changes, the costs shouldn't have been as much as it was, and my cost nearly doubled on frogs from when I did order them. I had to pay for shipping as well, and the shipping cost was outrageous. The freight, it was intense. I almost threw up when they told me how much the freight was going to cost, and it would increase my costs. Oh shoot, an extra 50 cents a frog. So we went a different route with freight, and ended up getting it for much, much cheaper, probably a quarter of the price. But it's just, I'm proud to have designed a frog and made changes and do all that. But for me, from my standpoint, at this time, if I was to have to place another order for frogs, I'd rather just not have them, because it's just not worth it for me. It's a lot of time, a lot of money, and it takes a long time to push out. What do I have? 1,500 to probably 12,000 frogs that I have to sell, and it's like
12,000.
Yeah, frogs. And it's like,
wow.
Am I going to be able to push them right now? No. Am I going to be able to order more? No. It's crazy.
But if you didn't get that stock like you did, if we had to reorder now, it would have made sense though.
It'd be impossible. No.
Yeah. So I mean,
the freight would probably be double what it was before.
That's the fun part about my position. So anybody that's listening or watching that they don't know, so I'm in a great position to where I get to help Hendrix Fishing. I get to meet creators like Jawtec, and I kind of get that behind the scenes look a little bit of what it actually takes to run a small fishing industry business. It's not easy, guys. So by all means, keep supporting the small businesses, because every dollar helps. Every bait you buy, everything, any post you make, trust me, all that is very helpful, because what these guys have to do in the background is insane. And trust me, I'm picking up some of the slack even for Hendrix, but it's like, I look at him going, man, we almost need a third person, a fourth person.
Yeah, listen, John does the website for me. He'll make guys codes when I get pro staff. If I tell him to do something, he does it, but he does it all for free. John, I mean, he gets a discount. I hook him up once in a while, but John does this out of the kindness of his heart because that's how much he believes in Hendrix Fishing. And I'm very grateful for someone like him. And, you know, I do what I can. I'm a very small business. You know, Colt, Jawtec, that helps us grow, and eventually we can be a much larger business. But we are very small. I have aspirations that one day we will be large and carrying all kinds of made in America, handmade custom stuff, and we'll basically be, like, my vision is to be the Bass Pro Shops of custom and, you know, home-based tackle made in America. Small brands like yourself. Well, you're small, but you're not small. You're on that teeter scale, but you're a family-owned and operated business.
We're a true family-owned business.
Right.
I mean, when we first talked and we first met each other, I knew I was like, I'm a different business than he typically works with, but I wanted to know that from size now to size 10 years from now, you're still going to get Colt. Like, as long as Colt's involved, it's going to be the same way. We're going to help support each other and go in the right direction. Where I'm not going to just drop the hat and go from there. We're becoming friends, but we're good business partners, and keep the train.
I think even when you get big, though, you still fit the mold of Hendrix Fishing and what Hendrix Fishing believes in. And Tyler, if I'm wrong, please interject. But you're a family business. You're still technically a small business. Now, when you get big, I mean, that's the key point, though. When you get even bigger and you all of a sudden drop in retail stores, you're still making the baits. Now, you may have some extra friends. You're not calling China. You're not calling Taiwan or any of those other guys going, hey, make me these baits, get them shipped over, yada, yada.
You know, I learned recently it's quite expensive to buy even packaged baits from China. And I'm like, from a business standpoint, I can almost produce it cheaper here. And why not? Yeah. Why not have that control? That's kind of where what we have is the power of control. We can control our inventory. Yep. We can control our manufacturing. We're not at the mercy of somebody's other really big minimum order to produce. 1, cut the molds. 2, produce the packaging. 3, package it and ship it to you. Well, and for that scale, I mean, you're talking.
That right there is what I like. Is the fact, and I always screw this up on camera. There we go. Is on your package even there is an American flag. That means you guys right there in America. You're, what is it? Texas here.
There's a good.
There it is.
There's
Texas.
A good Texas flag over there.
Yeah, I'm learning the camera still. It's the opposite of where I need to go.
We are a proud Texas company right there. But that's just us. I mean, you've talked about growth, and when we do get bigger and all that. One of the things I have a huge passion in this world is providing for other families and giving that avenue for people to provide for their families. So there's a lot of lower skilled jobs that some people, they can only qualify for those things. And what we do is some simple things at the end of the day. So somebody with some lesser skills has an avenue where they can come over here, make a fair living. I mean, they're not going to become millionaires working for me. Because we're all not going to be millionaires, but
I could come. You could hire me to come make baits, and I could pay the bills, put food on the table for my family. At the same time, your business keeps growing. Rob people.
And we also, it's like the thing I've done is the study of who's the right employee to come work for us. And right now, what I see is it's high school kids working after school. It's single moms that drop their kids off at daycare. They need a 6-hour window to work. It's why the kids are at school.
Some baits.
So, I mean, it fits. And then there's also, I mean, we've looked at the avenues of people taking product home and packaging it in their own time and getting a price per unit because they maybe can't come work an 8-hour stint straight, but they can work, 2 hours at night and 2 hours in the morning and then do it part-time. So there's a lot of different ways that we can provide an avenue for people to make a semi-good living to a decent living to a great living, just depending on what level they work with us. And I just got to keep selling baits so they can do that. So right now, it's me and my wife and my mom, and then we have some contract people that come in to package when we have big production runs. But we hope to be out the window one
I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to let Tyler chime in on it. But, for example, if I go on to Jawtec's website, what do you charge for a pack of little shads?
I don't charge anything, actually. I don't sell directly to consumer at the moment.
Okay.
And the point of that was to drive people to retailers. I've got 29 physical locations across the southern United States right now. I'm hoping to make that number come out the roof, but I think we're going to have to get out of this recession before that number continues to grow. But online retailers, I want the people that can take the time to do the marketing that I can't do because I am doing the manufacturing and keeping the facility running. It's using what they want to invest their time in and then taking what they can invest their time in my end and make baits, putting those two people together. And that's the dealer and manufacturer relationship.
Okay.
And it's worked. I mean, I've got people like Tyler. I've got the most recent person to take it online was Buzzin' Baits because he needed a jig trailer because he makes jigs.
Gotcha.
And he didn't want to make plastic. So he said, hey, man, can I carry your jig or your wacky craw? I said, absolutely. I mean, it's something for customers that are looking for a certain custom thing, jig-wise or crankbait-wise. They can go throw 2 or 3 bags of soft plastics on it, make a little margin to keep moving their price per transaction up and making a little better money. So, and we provide a very fair market value to the dealers.
Okay, so
we protect their pricing.
So
and all that as well.
makes a lot of sense, and that's why. And I'll let Tyler explain more of the breakdown of pricing stuff. But I have yet to find now if you got a store or a bait shop close by that has your product, Jawtec product in it. Hey, go support that small business. But if you're trying to get some online, Tyler has the lowest priced.
He's got a lot.
Well, he has a lot, and he has the lowest priced Jawtec baits you will find on the market right now, at least online, unless someone's reselling it. I don't know why they would. These baits catch fish. As well as, Tyler, I think you should maybe tell the folks what we got coming because in the background while we've been doing the podcast, I think I got it all to work. What's something that's going to be coming down the pipeline that people can subscribe to, but also get these beautiful baits even lower priced?
Well, I'm going to touch base on the price. Yeah. It might be the lowest online. I'm not sure what Buzzin' Baits is selling for, but I'll communicate with him and make sure we're not, bumping heads. But
no, and you're good. You've seen my map pricing system. You're good. All my dealers, they all get the same. Yeah. They get the same letterhead, and if it's all within there, that's my job. I make sure no dealer is cutting below the minimum price.
Okay.
And protecting people from there. So that's as a manufacturer, I have to do that. I can't have dealers chasing after each other.
No, I would just respect. Right. Out of respect, I would like to,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
You're good, and we've set up everything so you don't even have to worry about that. That's kind of we wanted to take that headache out of your end completely.
Yeah, it's not even a headache to me because my idea is to get Jawtec, get it out the door. I want to sell the product for you. Basically, use Hendrix Fishing as, like you said, advertisement and a way to grow.
Yeah.
The more you grow, the more I grow, and the more I grow, the more you grow. It all works together.
It's you got your customer base that we want to know. We want them to know who we are. It's I do this study with tackle shops around me. When I have 2 tackle shops that are very close to each other, it doesn't affect either of their markets because those people shop there for a reason. They like the people, they like the location, they like what that company carries. So yes, they might be able to get Jawtec at store A that's 6 miles from store B, but if they want to buy blah, blah, blah for their boat, they can only get it at this location. Right. So because of how we set up our pricing and all that, we're using Jawtec as another thing to add to somebody's tool belt. I mean, it's a tool. It's not something to use as like, hey, you can only get it here. It's this great product that we want we want it to go across this nation.
And if you're at Buzzin' Baits and you're buying a jig, why not buy Jawtec at the same time? Or if you're at Hendrix, and you're buying
one of the most expensive things for a consumer right now is shipping. I mean, that is an expensive ad. So if you can get that box and throw 10 more things in there and do it, and then the next month go to another place because you're looking for that. I mean, it's better for the customers end if they can capitalize on that shipping cost too.
Right. And back to the shipping, what you said, I'm going to go back to what you said also, John.
Yeah,
shipping,
very good.
Even with the Hendrix box, we charge $5 flat rate shipping. It costs way more than $5 to ship a Hendrix box.
You can't ship it for $5.
Yeah. So the Hendrix box is costing me probably $8 to $10. Depending if I'm shipping to Texas, $10, $10.50. So because I have to ship priority, because if I ship first class, you guys lose your package. I can't insure that. So I have to ship priority. So just note when you guys buy a Hendrix box, I am not profiting as much as you guys think I am. Maybe when the recession goes down or if I start to sell more boxes, I can make a deal with the Postal Service and get a flat rate deal. since I'm shipping so many boxes per month. But right now, I lose money quite often with the Hendrix box, but I'm in it to win it, and I'm here to help people grow. And back
You
to what
gotta eat a nasty sandwich every once in a while. Is what the term.
yeah,
means.
once in a while you just gotta eat that turd pickle sandwich, you know. But but back what John said, we're adding a subscription service. A lot of people are gonna say we're copying. We're not copying. We're a handmade, custom, small batch, American-made company, and we're doing things our own way.
We're
and,
adapting.
We wanted to,
That's the right.
a lot
word.
of guys try to join the Hendrix Pro Staff team, but I've noticed over the years, a lot of guys are just in it for the discount. Okay, so instead of wasting time applying for Pro Staff and doing all that and becoming a Pro Staff and doing limited to support Hendrix Fishing, we made a way where you guys can subscribe to Hendrix Elite, which will allow you. You pay $60 for the year, John. We discussed.
So detail wise, because I just got it all set up finally, it took some working. It'll be $59.99 for the year. That's gonna get you, first off, exclusive baits that no one else is gonna get. That's also gonna get you first looks at new product. So like if we get a restock of Jawtec, you're going to be the first to know. You're going to be right there with the upper end pro staff guys knowing, hey, there's baits coming. If you want them, now's the time to get them. I'm going to drop it to the public in, 2 days, whatever the case be. You're also going to get, like I said, exclusive products that only the elites are going to be able to buy. So if Tyler comes up with a new color, boom, you get first rights to it. Then the best part, he was talking about the discount. At the cart, it'll automatically apply a 20% discount on everything except apparel. And the only reason we can't do apparel, which maybe we'll do something special for the elite guys, that's why you got to get joined anyways, is apparel. We don't have a affordable way to get you quality shirts and everything that we like that we could then discount. So without me jacking up the price of a t-shirt, that's how we have to do that. But all the baits, that includes Jawtec, the boxes, the splash packs, the pond hoppers, you're going to get 20% off on that for the year, no matter what.
Yeah, so say you want to be a subscriber to Hendrix Fishing, you can't afford it. You can then pay $60 and you will get 20% off every box for a year. So that saves anywhere between, depending on what box you get, $3 to $5, John, off a subscription. So essentially you get free shipping.
Yeah.
You get free shipping for a year, which that saves you 5 times 12. Do the math for me, John, because my brain
$60.
is broken.
So basically right there, you got your money back. But then if you order any baits,
there you go.
This is extra gravy on that
You
point.
say you put $100 order in, you save $20 right there. You made your money back and then some. You saved. So it's a way for everybody to get in on this action and enjoy the custom Jawtec Hendrix OG box, Hendrix Pond Hopper box for the right price.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to copy anyone and whatever I said before, John, but if you look at Shop Carl's, they do something like this, but they're a big business and, the same concept. You pay for a membership, and difference with us is we're taking all that money from the membership and we're using it for advertisement, for growth, and none of that is being taken for profit. So anything you guys pay towards a membership, whether it's the monthly, 6-month, or yearly, then we're going to use that funding to advertisement, merch,
Restock,
pay for ads,
Jawtec.
Yeah, restock Jawtec. Pay for ads on Instagram, Facebook, billboard, whatever we can afford, based off how many people subscribe to the Hendrix Elite program, which I'm really excited for that. I've been talking about that for a long time. And I urge everyone to sign up for it. I mean, you pay $60 or $7.99 a month?
$7.99 a month, or you could do a half year for, I have to check my notes again. I still got to get, now that I got it working, I got to get the others put in, but we'll get there.
Just think about it.
But
you pay $7.99 for the Hendrix Elite. You save $5, say, on the OG box. And then you place a $50 order of Hendrix. You saved well enough to earn your membership and then some. So it's a great way to save money and get in on the action.
Oh yeah.
Now I gotta chirp in a little bit. Speaking of pro staffs and stuff, in the chat I see two guys with the same last name. A lot of people that follow the Hendrix Fishing as well as the Jawtec family know the Heavy Z Fishing brothers. We've got Dylan and we got Daniel. How did you get mixed up with those two fools? And I mean
Those
that in
two
a good
fools.
way.
Them two guys. So it started. We're all from the same hometown. We all kind of grew up. We didn't grow up with each other. I didn't know them prior to this, but they went to school with my older sister, Dylan. I'm gonna mess up which one got married, but one of the I can't remember which one, Dylan or Daniel. My sister shot their wedding, so that was kind of how they did. And then when they heard we were restarting this because they grew up, their dads fished with the product back in the day and all that, they said, "Man, we just want to help as much as we can. What can we do to help?" And that's what I love. So they give great insight to the product and their success with it, and they're super big encouragers of us. They've put a lot of information out on the internet, so when you type in Jawtec on YouTube, they pop up, and I love that because they're getting that traffic from my searches of Jawtec because they supported me, and that's where everybody that got on this early has been a huge supporter, and even people are looking for me. They're seeing these people out that are helping me throughout the day. So they're great guys. They've done nothing but help, and I've never been disappointed of anything I've ever sent them or how they've helped me out. And they met y'all. We were talking about it through Instagram message at one time, and I was like, he's like, "Hey, what is this heavy or what is this Hendrix Fishing box?" I said, they're a company that's looking to support small bait makers, and I didn't necessarily fit their at the time. I told myself I don't necessarily fit exactly their model, but they wanted to support me, and I was giving them the pricing that they were looking for, and here we go. So they've kind of integrated their way into y'all's community, and I just get to be kind of I was the guy that set up the date. Maybe I was
You were the matchmaker.
I was the matchmaker. But I think what they want to do is they wanted to be in part of a community of people that wanted to support small businesses, just like in your local hometown. You've got a handful of restaurants and mom and pop shops and these things that we want to support because it's our community. And they were looking for that community, and I think they found it in y'all, and they find it in the Jawtec community.
So now I got to stir the pot a little bit because I give Tyler a whole bunch of crap all the time too, but I'm just as guilty. If you're not throwing your bait, what are you throwing?
Oh, what I throw? I took all of my non-Jawtec stuff out of the boat. I forced myself to throw it. And I did something I think it's pretty cool with it. I inherited a lot of fishing lures from my father when he passed, and from my granddad. I gave a lot of it to high school kids, just so they can get out and go fish, because they don't. I mean, I've been there. You don't have any money when you're in high school. You're broke. So I had maybe like 300 bags of soft plastics floating around and all those things. Now crankbaits and those kind of things, and spinnerbaits, those are mine.
I was gonna say that's where I gotta ask those, because soft plastics, you are strictly fishing your company, which I love to hear.
I fish mine unless I don't have.
You're designing it, you're fishing it. So, and then you got guys like myself and the Zebros. You got the whole community fishing your product. So, if there's something wrong, we're gonna straight up tell you, or you're gonna find out yourself.
And I want to know that, because I have had problems with baits in the past that I had to learn how to correct. And I've also had very good suggestions that's come from those situations. So
when you want to throw a square bill, what are you throwing then?
I'm kind of the bougie guy when it comes to square bills.
Oh no!
I throw expensive square bills. I throw an evergreen square bill a lot.
Why do you throw an evergreen? You're a Texas boy. Why aren't you throwing 6 cents?
No.
I
don't have. So the 6 cents crankbaits, they're great. I will say they are good crankbaits, but there's a handful of things I look for. I prefer either a zero sound crankbait, so no rattles, or a one knocker. I'm not a big fan of a little tiny BBs. I don't throw traps. I throw the 2 taps and the tungsten weights and the knockers, because I want to throw something different at all times. So that's just
okay.
My boat's full of those things, or they're silent crankbaits.
Okay.
And the evergreen one, they work, and they've got a really good square bill. So And then I
that's gotta
throw
poke
I
a
throw
little
a
bit.
5XD, and then another one I throw a little bit of. Cliff Base has the Black Label crank. I throw a Black Label crankbait quite a bit too, but I don't throw a lot of them because we got rocks and we got trees in this world, and they're expensive to break off. So I
Okay.
prefer to go throw plastics because they're a little cheaper as a consumer to go out and fish for a day. You're not breaking off $55 crankbaits in a day. That's a hard day.
So I'm gonna be that guy again, and I know Tyler's gonna like when you answer this question because now we can educate our customers. What makes your this is 3.5, right? Yes,
3.8.
3.8. Excuse me. What makes your 3.8? And I'm holding up. You call it the punch shad, but it's a swim bait, paddle tail swim bait. What makes your
It is a
paddle
paddle
tail
tail
swim
swim
bait better or different than someone else's?
Because it doesn't look like anybody else's. Take it out of that pack,
Okay.
and you're gonna look
Okay.
at it. It's keeled like a boat, so it's kind of shaped
Hold on. We're
like
pulling
this
it out.
spoon. So if you look at it, it's got a bulbous bottom opposed to just a round.
I like that you just pulled the spoon out of nowhere in your hotel room.
I had a spoon in my hotel room. That's kind of loose. Now turn it towards the camera head first. See, now rotate it 90 degrees. You see it? It's flat. It's got a flatter side, and it's not round all the way around. So the point of that was to make it fit on a round bend hook, because I like to throw an open jig head sometimes, but the round bodied swim baits, the real tall ones, they don't fit on a round bend hook very good, and I will not throw an EWG hook to save my life. I've lost so many fish on an EWG hook. So when Dad and I were designing, I told him, I said, it needs to fit on a round bend hook so I can go do what I did with other swim baits. So I've taken a lot of different swim baits, like a cane thumper, Jawtec, a lot of different things, and I flip them into bushes. There's no scent in that one if you're looking for it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question. So
I'll get to
anybody that's never opened a pack of Jawtec baits, like these, for example, they have. He says they reek, but it is a beautiful smell. Oh, the bass cannot resist it. But I was noticing a hint of plastic. Why?
Yeah. And the clamshells that they're in, they do not hold scent. So we've looked at crawfish scales, stuff like that to give a scent to that, but it doesn't work. So I'm a believer you have to have some kind of scent to add to baits, and we always suggest people that, hey, take your Bang or something like that and spray it on there. It was just so that clam can't hold the scent in, so it's very it can get nasty. So we omitted the scent for that reason, because it would be very bad.
Okay.
And,
I was gonna say,
but
no.
But I'm gonna go back to. I gotta finish the punch.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Why else are we different? I saw that it runs a little more flat. Now I follow you there. That is different.
Runs a little more flat,
Yep.
but it's designed to go flip into bushes. It works as a swim bait, but it's designed to go flip into bushes, flip in grass. It's called the punch shad for a reason.
Okay.
I've been doing it for years with other companies' baits. I wanted to make sure that I had the bait. So I don't have a beaver style bait because I wanted people to flip the punch shad. I haven't got the market to do it yet, but I'm going to make it happen one day because I've had so much success doing it. And I'm a firm believer in flipping a punch shad. So
there we go. Tyler, now when customers ask us, we can say exactly why it's different.
that is it.
Exactly.
And it does work. It works as a swim bait. Don't get people wrong. It will function as a swim bait.
Oh, yeah.
As a bladed jig trailer. It'll work on an underspin all the way up to an Alabama rig. It'll work in all those. But it's meant to be put on a 3/0 round bend hook and a 1/2 ounce weight. If you put a 1/2 ounce tungsten weight directly on top of that, it fits perfect.
Okay.
Cole, I wanted to ask you a question a while back in this live. Have you ever considered working as a source for guys to come to you and have soft plastics manufactured in America?
We have definitely looked into it. That we would call that OEM work.
Right.
The problem with it is, so like for me to go design a mold, to go into the machines, to go there, that's probably roughly an $8,000 investment for the mold itself, and then you got to run the product. So if somebody really has the money to fund it, because I can't fund it myself unless the volume of baits to produce is there. But past that, I mean, it's doable. I mean, we can definitely think about it, but there's also limitations in machining work. So you can design a really cool bait, but if you can't physically cut the machine or cut the mold, like if it takes, you have to drill sideways into it at an angle and then go up, it's not possible. So there's a lot of limitations in machining work, but if somebody's got the funding to do it, we can help. I mean, we have the machines are designed to shoot whatever, because we work in a world of X, Y, and Z axis, and anything that fits in an X, Y, and Z axis that we can make. So
the reason I'm asking is because I've had some chats with the Zamalik brothers, and we were talking about possibly creating a shad bait and collabing on it. And I also have these swim baits, but I wanted to make some changes to the design. And I was looking for a better manufacturer to make them.
And I don't think you're looking for a manufacturer. You need a mold design.
Yes, the mold.
The mold part of it. So, like I was saying, the molds that go into my machines, they're high dollar. But I've kind of, I would say, guided a couple of small bait companies to find the right aspect to work with their local suppliers, which could be a CNC shop, a machinist shop. There's a handful of things you can tell them, and then just look like, hey guys, I want to make this. Don't think of it as a fishing lure. Think of it as a part for a car, and then do it in reverse. You're trying to make the negative of a mold opposed to the solid piece that they're trying to make. So I can work those things and talk to people and do that. I mean, it's all. I mean, I do it every day, but I definitely think that those things, I think it's way more affordable than my scale production, because to do our stuff it's expensive.
And the reason I wanted to ask you is because you have obviously have experience in designing baits and making the molds and cutting, and so I want to talk to you eventually on like you said, I want help from you to direct me on maybe
I can get you heading the right direction on how to get that mold cut in your area, because my guy doing it down here in Texas will not work best, because sometimes you have to go look at it while they're designing it.
Right.
And you can do stuff through email so great, but being there in person, so that's why my guy, he is special. He's super smart, but he can do, there's people in your part of the world that can do that.
Yeah, I
found
all across a company, which I think they were at iCast. Oh, what's their name? They're up in Utica, New York. I can't think of. They're about 4 hours north of me, closer to the Great Lakes. And they specialized in designing baits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get in touch with them, but they seem like such a large company at doing that.
You'd be surprised if you can work with somebody and then maybe it's not a full-blown exclusive, but maybe you get some kind of royalty off it. I mean, they're always looking for ideas.
Right.
And if they can justify the time and the investment, I mean, they're going to help you out, and then you get the benefit of that as well. I mean, you've got a bait on the market that you help design. Right. I know Do It Mold does it all the time. I mean, they've got molds that people collaborated on, and it could be labeled as the blah, blah, blah Hendrix deal on the website. It's just all the agreements from there. But there's a lot of different people that do this.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna poke you again, but I'm gonna wait to poke you. There's actually a few guys in chat that sparked up some questions. So and I like these questions so far. So
I like the complex stuff. The simple, the questions that everybody asks normally, those are fine.
Yeah.
But the stuff that's different, that's what I want you. I'm going to turn on the AC behind me.
Well, let's see. The first one here, and this is from one of the Zamalik brothers. This is from Dylan. So I know he's definitely poking the bear with this one. What is your biggest bass on your own product?
Ooh. I caught 3 9s and an 8 this year.
All right, what color?
All off a bed, but I threw a French fry this spring to catch them. That is on my personal baits. My personal best bass came on a spro frog. I caught a 12-pounder out of Lake Palestine on a spro frog.
Okay.
But I haven't caught a 10-pounder yet on my stuff, but I will catch a 10-pounder.
What color French fry?
Watermelon French fry or a monkey blood color French fry.
Okay, so guys, he just told you what to go get on the Hendrix website when they get on there, because And you better get them when they get on there because they will go fast now because he just told you how to catch 8s and 9s.
8s and 9s.
Now-
A French fry catches big fish. It's a small bait, but most of the things that a bass eats in the water is about 4 inches long, and it's just the simplest that it is.
Now I like the follow up to this one. This actually came from Mike Provo. He's one of the guys in Hendrix as well. He's curious. What was your dad's favorite Jawtec bait to fish, and what was his PB?
Yeah, my dad's absolute favorite bait he ever designed was the stud bug. The stud bug was his. It was prior to me being born. It was a labor of love to make that mold. It's got a lot of hand done stuff. It's not all CNC cut. It has a lot of hand, like all those little bumps, but there's the inner hole in that bump. They had to be installed by hand. So him and his buddy Clayton that put the mold together, they've got hundreds of hours invested in it. And Dad loved shooting it. And it was an East Texas secret. They didn't really talk about it much because it caught fish that well. I've got a customer that lives in Virginia. When we first opened up, he said, I need a full run of black blue flake stud bugs, and he bought them. He bought an entire 5-gallon run of plastic, and I was like, really? He said, I'm gonna buy it because he believed in that bait so much. So that was my dad's favorite Jawtec product. The wacky worm obviously was like his pride and joy because he got to coin that to the market. But for baits that he loved the most, the wacky crawl and the stud bug were his favorites. He loved the punch shad. He never got to fish with the punch shad, unfortunately, before he passed. But he loved it. He helped design it. We put the testing together, but he didn't see the production runs of it. Gotcha. And then my dad's personal best bass, Dad had the loaded gun when it came to fishing. He understood offshore fishing way before mapping and sonar. And he learned Lake Fork with a flasher, old school, just down flasher.
Oh,
he learned scan structure. And I remember growing up as a kid, we can go catch 25-pounders at Lake Fork on any given day and not think about it. But there was the 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s mixed in with those fish. So my dad's got a 12-pounder hanging up on the wall, and then he's got a copious amounts of 9s, 10s, and 11s that he's caught throughout the year. Dad was a big bass catcher. The Zamar boys, their dad throws a crankbait because my dad threw a crankbait. My dad threw a Norman DD22 and busted him for many, many years on that. And there's a lot of people he taught to throw that bait because he didn't want to keep it a secret. Like, as bait manufacturers, we're the worst people at keeping secrets about what baits work because we want people to use the product. So when I have a bait that I develop and fish with, I'm going to tell people, like the French fry, I tell people it catches more just any fish in the lake, not just bass, but any fish, because it's this long.
Yep.
And it wiggles just enough to make it look like anything that swims in the water. So
no, I love that point because I was laughing just because when we were doing the tournament fishing and I was using a Hendrix bait, it was so hard for me to not tell but want to tell everybody, like, oh man, what were we slaying it on, instead of being the jerk, tournament fisherman, like, oh, just a pink fluke, nothing crazy. No, it was so hard just to be like, yep, I was fishing the Predator. It was this color, and I got it from here. And, oh, yeah, and then I was using this bait, which came in this box.
You better tell people when you catch
my favorite bait
buddy,
was the stud
tournament
bug.
fishing's over, and I got a box of your stuff. Don't you worry. We're going out. The old man is finally back in the country. We're going out tomorrow morning, and this stuff's getting rigged up.
Oh, yeah.
The stud bug is my ticket here. The white stud bug, I'm telling you, I throw that thing weightless. I don't even bother with the O-ring because they stay on the hook pretty good. I don't lose many.
Not bad.
But
those white stud bugs you have were the very first ones I shot with table salt opposed to flour salt. So we use salt in our baits to make them heavier, so you can throw them weightless and they're not necessarily just floating on top of the water. They have a slow sink. But we wanted to use table salt, so those are the very first ones to ever have table salt included in them, opposed to flour salt, because the industry uses flour salt,
right?
And the flour salt, you could push a lot more through a bait. You could put about a 30% mixture if you wanted to, but we use table salt because it uses it to weight that bait. It's more dense than flour salt. Is basically.
I used to use sea salt myself, and it was a tremendous difference.
It's just it almost acts like rebar. I can think of it. It's got more surface area. So it's not the flour salt, it takes volume of a bait. The table salt, gives it that weight, and then also kind of that rebar style, something to grab onto.
Now I always like to. This is where I'm gonna now come in and poke. And I always like to get like I was saying earlier when we were getting everything set up. I like to know what's in your closet, what's under the bed. I want to know what's going on behind the scenes because I'm just that kind of guy.
Yeah.
What we got coming? What's coming up? Spill some beans. Don't leave me hanging. We got any new colors coming? We got any new baits coming? Anything I need to pay attention to?
What if I told you it was a crankbait?
I'm going to love and hate you at the same point because now I'm going to go, where's my dang crankbait? Let's go. Fall time's coming, boys. Crankbaits do amazing.
We might have something like that coming. We're just going to leave it at that. It's not that yet, but it might be a crankbait. We're looking for some maybe private label some crankbaits somehow. And
man.
Maybe. I have a problem with it. I had the guy approach me and said, "Hey, would you like to have a Jawtec crankbait?" I said, "I don't know how to make crankbaits. It's like it's not me doing it." So I had that kind of moral dilemma, like, "Hey, it's not me doing it." So it might not happen because of that, but we'll leave it there.
Okay. Well, if you need to get over your moral dilemma, I got you.
If you can somehow have a control factor over it, or your design, or as long as you're involved with the idea and the physical nature of the bait, I feel like you would be very proud to bring something like that to the market. And I think you would get a lot of good.
If it's not different, it will not have the Jawtec name put on it. I mean,
it's got to be yours.
It's got to be mine, and that's kind of what I told them, and what we're talking about is if it's not mine, I'm not putting my name on it.
Right, and like you hold up this crank, you hold up the Jawtec crank. You want to feel, you want to look, you want to see all the differences in Jawtec. Like you don't,
like you were saying earlier, I want to hear the difference.
Right, like this one's noisy as all hell. So, that's not a Jawtec crank.
But
Jawtec crank would sound like
or silent. Or a silent. Okay, here's some information for the world. If you are fishing at Lake Ray Hubbard, which is the lake closest to our facility, if you're throwing anything with bridles, you're not going to get a third of the bites. A silent square bill catches 3-4 to 1 of anything else out there. So I've got a lot of time invested in crankbait fishing.
See, this is why is why you need to listen to the Hendrix HookUp, because once again, it's right there. We're hooking you guys up. He just gave you what bait to throw, as well as we may be the first ones in the public to just hear that there might be keywords there be some cranks, which
maybe
go blow him up on Instagram. Pressure him into doing this. I think it's a more
small maybe than a big maybe. But it's
start pressuring him. Go send him messages. Go blow him up on Instagram. Tell him make the dang baits. Let him know that you'll go.
We're going to be
monkey blood sultans.
Ooh, monkey blood sultan. That comes into just the weird stuff. I don't like to make just weird. Like when I make a monkey blood something, it's to sight fish with or put it on the back of a fire crawl bladed jig. I mean, that's kind of where I always look at. I try to make sure that if I'm going to make a bait, it's something I would fish with. I don't try to get. I don't like the gimmicky stuff at times. So if people really want it, do it. Maybe the saltwater.
I want it personally. I want to. I don't know why, but I really want to drop shot a monkey blood sultan.
I have had a 10-pounder caught on a sultan that was drop shotted.
See,
the first 10-pounder caught on a Jawtec product was a sultan this past. I think it was in March, maybe February, and he sent me the picture of It was a full braid. There was no fluorocarbon or mono on it. It was braid with a 1/2 ounce lead weight, about a 12-inch leader, and a sultan. I got a picture of it hanging off, and I said, well, "That's not a drop shot. That's called a power shot." But
that is a power shot.
he caught a 10-pounder on it. It was in a private lake. People say, "Oh, it was caught in a private lake." I'm like, it's still a 10-pounder. How many people have caught a 10-pounder even in private lakes?
Yep.
So,
right. You can't judge.
I'll put the asterisk there, but it still
private
counts.
Lakes, and I'm lucky if I catch 3-pound bass.
It counts.
Yeah.
I just want somebody from a public lake to do the same thing. So then we'll just have them both. See, we got the one with the asterisk and the one without. We're good. But
all right.
Well,
let's ask.
Go ahead.
Let's ask the people viewing. What is the? Let's ask one more deep dark secret question, and then we'll kind of end it off from there.
Ooh, guys,
Good.
Put it in the comments now. While you guys are putting in the comments, if there is one.
I don't know. I'm pretty open with stuff. That crankbait one was very.
because
That's a
I don't want to
secret
keep him too long. So put something in
These
there.
are these going on YouTube after?
This will go on YouTube. This will go on Spotify. You out there now, brother?
That's
He's not making the crankbait.
Until he gets all the comments that say, "Bring me the
I guess
crankbait.
you
I'll
got to
buy
stay
20 of
tuned and
them."
buy Jawtec products, right?
right.
If they want to know if you're going to make the crankbait, they have to buy Jawtec from Hendrix Fishing because we'll probably be the first ones to have it online.
Oh yeah. If it happens, it might not. If it does, but
You keep saying
let's
if,
ask some
guys.
se-
Let's keep blowing
Let's
up.
see if we got a secret question coming.
I don't have anything yet, but
I just keep
you know what? I
reading
keep
Dylan
I
saying
keep
he
seeing
needs
it.
the sluggo.
What's up with the sluggo? Is there a way to get them? Is there any way to get them, or are they dead?
The chatterbox is gone. The mold's non-existent. But we have the alternative that was the second rendition of the chatterbox. So we took the rattle out of it, and Dad made we call it the KO shad. It's a pintail. It's got a wider body in the middle, and it comes down to not a pin point at the head, but the tail is a pintail. And we've thrown it on the back of a bladed jig since a chatterbait became available to this market, and we've crushed it. That is the alternative.
Okay.
If you go to my TikTok page, I've got a video about a month and a half ago of me walking the KO shad like it's a fluke or like it's a spook, and it walks left or right coming through the water.
With that, they also want to know: will one of the original Jawtec baits be brought back to light?
We have the new Wacky Crawl. The original Wacky Crawl, I have the mold. It is the best chatterbait trailer ever. I will say that. For a blade jig, you need a trailer with almost hardly any action for itself. You need it. So the blade jig creates the action. And the original Wacky Crawl, it's about 6 inches long. It's got long tentacles and shorter claws. If we do release that, it will crawl one day. That is the name.
Okay.
You know it. But I gotta have the justification for it.
There
I
you
want
guys
to make
go.
it, but I gotta have the demand from people. So
If you guys
I
blow
think-
them up on Instagram and create that demand, there
I
you
think
go.
I think more people should fish the wacky. Out of all
I
the
love
baits
the
we
new-
have of yours, I don't. The Wacky Crawl, we gotta get more people out here to buy the Wacky Crawl. You guys are underrating it.
the
Zamalik brothers will tell
Wacky
you.
Crawl it was kind of a sleeper bait. So the Zamalik boys, they told me about Nico rigging a crawl bait, and I've never thrown a Nico rig up until this. And if you notice, it's got ribs around the body. It's designed to trap an O-ring so it doesn't slide up and down your bait. And it's got a spot right in the butt of the bait to stick that deal in there. And it's a slower fall. I mean, it's not a big, giant, heavy. I mean, it's not a heavy bait. It's not very big. It's 4 inches long. It's real compact.
Yeah.
But throw it out there on a spinning rod, let it sit there, and his arms just kind of trickle on the way down. If you go to the Facebook page, way early in the Jawtec days, I've got videos of me throwing the Wacky Crawl in a pool, and you can see it better. I lost the phone that had the raw videos on it, but they're on the Facebook page.
You almost should have named it the cheerleader. The way it goes down, like it's got pom poms.
Have you ever seen the videos of Kermit the Frog when he's doing this and all
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted him to do when he was dancing.
Like a happy dance. Yeah.
It's a different kind of swim. That's kind of what I can say. It's not your big giant flapping arm bait. It's a wag. Maybe is the best.
Yeah, it's like a wiggle.
Wag.
It's like a saying hi to the fish.
Yeah, it's different. Crawfish, they don't kick.
Right.
They don't swim with their arms. Their arms are their tails.
They're
are
kind
what's
of tight. They
moving.
kind of act like they're like buff all the time. They don't
Right.
They don't really move around too much. But what do you say, John? We let this guy get back to his family.
I was gonna say, yeah, we're coming up with that time, guys. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. We still have the absolute giant box of baits that's gonna go to one of y'all. All you have to do is subscribe. There's Jawtec baits in there. I can tell you right now, there's some sultans I put in that box on purpose. So we need to hit 200 subscribers. We're almost there. We're at, I think, 185-ish. So get your friends, your family, have them subscribe, drop a like, drop your comments.
Tell your mom to subscribe. Something like
Ooh,
that.
tell your
Yeah.
mom.
YouTube.
Mom, your grandma, your grandpa,
Yeah.
Grandma's like me.
mommy, pappy.
But Tyler,
Yeah.
any last questions before I wrap up with my favorite question to ask guests now with the young one and myself on the way? Nothing? You good?
What'd you say?
I said, any other
I
questions?
thought
You got
you
any
had
last
the
question?
question. I thought you had the
No,
question.
I do. But do you have anything else?
I have a question.
Okay.
No, it's not a question for you, Colt. It's a demand for other people. Go buy Wacky Craws. You guys have to try the Wacky Craws, okay?
Give it an honest chance.
Yeah,
Wacky Crawl
give it
is-
the old
it's-
Texas try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give it
Just
the old
give-
Texas
That's what we tell people with all our products. Just give us the try. Show that you gave us a true effort before you throw us out and say, "Nah, we don't need that." So just give us a
All
try.
right. So my
Right.
last question, wrap it up. And I've enjoyed asking this question to all our guests that come on. Well, I say all, but you're our second one, but just folks in general that chat with us. So you've got a family yourself. I've got my first young one on the way. What piece of advice do you have for a first-time dad?
First time dad. Don't lose that that childlike the inner child you have. We're all kids, and we were kids at one point. Don't forget that with your kids. They're little. They don't understand what's going on in life. I'm going through experiences right now with this company that my mother, and father did, and I never knew anything about it because they were just making sure that I got to enjoy being a kid. So make sure that your children know what being a kid is. Don't try to force them to grow up faster than they need to.
Perfect. Well,
That's the best advice I can have for
I like that one. That's something that I think you're right. Just, we let my kid be a kid. There's plenty of time to be an adult. So
There you go.
They have been a kid for so long.
perfect. Well,
Hey, little John, one day when you're watching this video up on YouTube or whatever they call it, CyberTube, or whenever you're old enough to watch, just remember that. Be a kid.
all right. Well, once again, thank you for taking time. We appreciate you stepping away from your family and all the traveling you're doing. I know your daughter's hungry, the mom is hungry, so feel free. Go feed the fam, get everybody happy. Everyone else out there, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Go check out HendrixFishing.com. Use code PARTTIME10. Score yourself some of these baits and keep an eye out. Hendrix Elite's going to drop. Become a member, save even more, and get exclusive access. But as always, guys, good luck on the water, and we hope to see you out there.